copies of the card. Lucas is just playing 2, so it might be hard to find that first belt if he wants to go in with that early.
Yeah, and normally that is kind of a counterplay that you do to, of course, counteract a Lugia VSTAR with a V-Guard energy on it, right? So maybe, not having as much access to it could definitely come to hurt him depending on how the matchup dynamic plays out.
So something else to keep in mind, Jon is playing the amazing rare Raikou. That could certainly come into play, and Lucas is not.
Game 1 in the top 8, no, not top 8, the top 4 now. Lucas will be going first, so already got to be feeling pretty happy about his chances as he finds himself the Evolution Incense off his opening hand. They're going to look through to see what's prized and what isn't.
Yep, starting with the Evolution Incense is always solid, grabbing out the Archeops right away, and if Lucas can combine this with a way to discard it, we talked about this in the last match, how important it is to get those Archeops in the discard pile as quickly as possible before your opponent can potentially disrupt your hand and leave you with a small hand size.
Yeah, so looking through, does find one of the 3 Archeops left in deck. Are going to start taking some notes as well.
Yeah, that's something that I don't think we see enough players do, taking notes. And this is really looking nice for Lucas. 2 Archeops in the hand and an Ultra Ball. Also even has a Quick Ball remaining in the hand as well. This is setting up very nicely. This is exactly what you want to see on those turns you go first.
Yeah, so this is about as good as you could ask for. Lugia VSTAR ready to go, Quick Ball in hand, and Aluminium ready to go as well if you want to search for support the next turn.
And how about Lucas just grabbing out the Lugia VSTAR right away, saying, no shot, Jon Eng, no way that you have a Marnie in your hand.
The confidence, you just gotta love to see it, right?
Gets that piece, puts it in the hand. Quick Ball does ditch the Serena. That can be a really important card. Now Lucas is playing the double Luminion, so he'll have access to the other Serena he plays or the 2 Boss's Orders potentially later in the game. But it is always a little unfortunate to see one of those important gusting cards hit the discard pile, because that's really what this matchup comes down to. Both of these players want to attack with their 1 prize Pokemon and hope that their 2 prize Pokemon on the bench don't get gusted and KO'd.
Now there's one very important factor to note here, which is perhaps one of the reasons behind Lucas going for this play and sort of showing
does put the Lugia VSTAR on top of the deck, actually, with the Oranguru, with the Primate Wisdom. That's exactly why Lucas went for it. That is so incredibly smart.
So here I was about to say, maybe then it forces Jon to play an unideal supporter in the form of the Marnie instead of something that sets him up better. But no, even better than that, Lucas just goes ahead and says, no, I'm going to guarantee the Lugia VSTAR whether you Marnie or don't. That's amazing heads-up play.
I don't actually think that turn 1 could have gone better for Lucas. That was incredible.
Yes, that is absolutely amazing to see. Now, we do have an update on the Tord versus Sander game. It looks like it might be close to finishing, but Tord has 1 game too, but it's still 1 piece. But we obviously give you a result on that as soon as it comes. I'm sure everyone will be ready to know how that one is gone.
So Evolution Incense being played for Jon. Archeops grabbed to the front of the deck right away. There is a Quick Ball and another Evolution Incense in hand. So this is looking great for Jon. This is what you want to see when you go second in this matchup. But was Lucas's turn 1 just too strong? There's no way this game can be over already, right? Jon is going to fight back.
Yeah, he's got to do as much as he can, right? So especially after that amazing start that Lucas had, not only getting the ideal setup with the 2 Archeops in the discard pile, but also managing to guarantee that Lugia V-Star by just very cleverly putting on top of the deck with the Primate Wisdom. You've got to love to see it.
And especially now being put down onto the bench, very strong. That is going to be a great attacker. Maybe this is Jon recognizing that Lucas doesn't play the Dunsparce. I wonder if that's something he knows about this list.
I mean, these players have been, probably examining each other over the course of the tournament, probably have been keeping up maybe with your progress on the stream and just have some awareness already of what's in each other's deck list. So yeah, maybe Jon, with that knowledge already, capitalizing on it and just going straight for the Raikou, knowing that it's going to come in very much handy.
This other Evolution's Incense being played, does grab Archeops out, is still checking those prize cards, always making sure that he knows what is available, wants to know what will be around, what he can hope to take off the prize cards later. That's always something interesting to me whenever a player knows something is prized and they have to play to that, hope that they take the piece they need off the prizes.
Yeah, sometimes you do just have to play that. It's not really like a nice, position to be in, but maybe that's just sometimes you have to play it.
So their Archeops going to hand. I wonder if there's an Aurora energy in the hand, potentially. No, just the Heat Fire. So we will see the Read the Wind will ditch this Archeops right here, most likely. Or the Research,
no.
Yep, has not even played a supporter.
Yep, so Professor Research are pretty ideal, going to discard both those Archeopses straight away and draw a fresh hand of 7 new cards. And getting the double Lugia down, very important. Going to stop any KO'd Lugia and win the game from their shenanigans. So as a turn one going second goes, John's got to be feeling pretty content with this.
Yeah, Jon feels okay. I think that the one thing that's a downside here is the fact that he has a Lugia V active. You really want to try to get a one prizer active, and it just really wasn't an option here for Jon.
No, maybe if it had a double turbo energy, could attach that to retreats, and but no, instead just the heat fire. So maybe, unfortunately, you're going to take a very early deficit in the prize-taking tempo in this match, which when you're going second is the last thing you need.
Now, if Jon can navigate the rest of this game by only putting one Lugia VSTAR in play, one additional 2-prize Pokemon, I should say, there's a chance he could be okay. If he can attack with just Raikou and also attack with just Yveltal, there's a chance he could be fine.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what he'll have in mind as well as he goes through the rest of this. So as we do see the Minion V get benched for Lucas Calza, of course, with that incredible Luminous Sign ability. I think this is probably the one time I've seen Luminous Sign used the most in any tournament over the past year or two. It's been a real mainstay over the course of these past 2 days.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when this card came out in Brilliant Stars, everyone obviously recognized that it was a solid card. Everyone knew that it was going to be decent at a minimum, but it didn't really see play right off the bat. And it took a while for people to start putting Lumineon in their decks, and I think part of that was just how decks were built at the time, and now everyone who was playing the Inteleon engine obviously didn't want to play Lumineon, but as Inteleon has kind of fallen out of favor and people have leaned more into the Lumineon and the Crobat, that's where we've seen Lumineon just increase in play.
Yeah, I think that's a big factor, right? Because so many of the top decks were using the Inteleon engine, and why would you play like 1 2-prize Pokemon that gets you 1 supporter when you could play a single prize engine that gets you any trainer, including supporters?
Exactly. So the Summoning Star V-Star power has been utilized. Archeops coming down. 4 energies accelerated to this active Lugia, ready to take the KO on Jon's active Lugia V, and a Marnie as well, which is a great answer when your opponent just used Read the Wind to draw extra cards.
Yeah, very important to see that. So that's going to sort of maximize the chances that Jon isn't even going to be able to make a counter response with his own Lugia V-Star to answer this KO that Lucas is inevitably going to take, and actually going to grab another Archeops out and quick ball it away straight away, probably maybe grabbing that mana fee so that he can protect himself with the Raikou.
This is a great grab here from Lucas. One thing I will say about this is that his bench is a little clogged at this point. Lumineon really is the only other decent attacker. You don't really want to attack with Archeops. We've seen it, but it's not ideal. You never want to attack with Manaphy or Ringaroo, that's for sure. So we'll probably have to see Lumineon be an attacker at some point shortly moving forward.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, Lucas is doing this on the basis of it. It's pretty much safe to do so, granted that
for sure.
Yeah, there's a V-Guard on the active, and Jon Eng's setup is really not that great to the point where there's a lot that he needs off of not many cards in order to even think about trying to KO this Lugia V-Star here.
It would certainly have to be a big commitment. Jon would either need a Choice Belt on this Raikou, or he would need 3 powerful colorless energy and a Choice Belt on a Lugia V-Star. So there's plenty that he needs. And if he attacks with a Lugia V-Star, he's opening himself up to being able to be hit by a Amazing Rare Yveltal at some point.
Yeah, and then so bearing that in mind, is actually decides, no, actually it's too risky for me to promote the Lugia V. I'm actually going to promote the Raikou instead.
And that was an excellent top deck. Did find Professor's Research. I think that's why Jon was really having a hard time with what to send up, was because his hand was awkward. But does find the Research on the top. Now can grab Lugia V-Star out of the deck, get that evolution, use that Summoning Star, and we'll see if he uses those Archeops Primal Turbo ability before the Research or after. It kind of depends on what he wants at a given time, right?
Yeah, that's always the debate, right? I think a lot of it depends on what state of the game you're currently in. If you want to, guarantee hitting certain kinds of engine, or if there's a certain engine you want to draw into to attach manually, then you might do it after. But if you know exactly when you power up, then it probably makes more sense to do it before so that your Research can draw other cards instead.
Just checking through the deck once more, making sure we know exactly what is available and what is not. We see some Serenas in there. Those are definitely going to be important cards. Could target down Lumineon at some point. Research will certainly be being played this turn. Maybe debating not getting the Lugia with this Ultra Ball does bring Manaphy to the front of the deck.
I mean, it'd be a very interesting choice considering, as far as we're aware, there's no, well, we know for a fact that Raikou isn't a factor for Lucas, right? But maybe, yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, does that go for the Manaphy?
Yeah, Jon, I think maybe just risking it a little bit here, saying, hey, I want to thin my deck more than I want to get this Lugia, risking that there's a chance he would whiff, but also maybe because he wanted to attach the Aurora energy. That's probably what the main thing was, because his 3 cards in hand were what he grabbed off Ultra Ball, the Research, and the Aurora. He wanted to attach Aurora and not just Research it away. So that's actually a smart play from Jon. It is a little awkward because it means he had to find the out to Lugia VSTAR, but he gets rewarded, does find it with the Ultra Ball here.
Yeah, maybe like playing the odds while thinking about it, and John coming to the conclusion that it's more than likely that I hit it, so I don't mind taking this risk because preserving the Aurora is more important in that regard.
I do think I still see 2 Choice Belts in the deck, so that means John did not draw into one. Raikou will not be able to attack. There is a Quick Ball in the hand, however. This could grab Crobat. That does put another 2-prize liability in play, though, an easier way for Lucas to try to clean up this game.
Yeah, and that's really not really what you need when you're already behind on their prizes and behind on attacking tempo, especially more so when you missed a Choice Belt. So you know you're not really going to be able to take a knockout this turn either. Really, the last thing you really want is to make it easier for Lucas to capitalize on an already big lead.
Lucas. Now John here playing out his cards, thinking what he wants to get off the Quick Ball. Did bring the Crobat to the front, but also the powerful colorless energy, maybe considering using his Primal Turbo abilities. Not quite sure what he wants to do. It will definitely be the Crobat. And the question now is, if we use this ability, are we going all in trying to find Choice Belt this turn?
Yeah, I think you've got to go for it at this point, right? If you take a knockout here, it is... not necessarily, it's not game winning, but it puts you in such a much better position. And now you can just go for both the Primal Turbos, thin out as much energy from the deck as possible, and then go for the Crobat, Dark Asset, and hope you hit the belt.
It would force Lucas's hand needs to find a way to gust and KO a 2-prizer most likely, or make a KO himself with a 1-prizer, or even with the Luminion. That is a great way to KO in response to the Raikou.
Yeah, I think a Luminion KO on the Raikou would be the ideal response. Obviously, it will kind of maybe potentially force Lucas into a 7-prize game, which isn't ideal, but I think it's the best response you can do if John is able to get the KO here. Or even if he's not, actually, maybe even if the Raikou isn't Choice Belt and then it just does 240 damage, it's still best to just retreat the Lugia and then go for the Luminion attack, because that Manaphy will protect Lugia from bench damage.
Yes, that is absolutely true. John still thinking through what he's doing here, shuffling the deck up. I think it's going to be 4 cards drawn off the Dark Asset, and without a doubt, the main thing he's looking for is Choice Belt. They've chosen to play 3 copies in this list. John did prize 1 in this game, however. Now playing Crobat, drawing 4 cards. Is there a belt? It's the last card! Finds the Choice Belt needed to take this KO.
A crucial draw, the last card of the Dark Asset, finding the Choice Belt. So now John able to take the KO on this active Lugia VSTAR. Phenomenal find.
Wow, that is the difference between John taking a KO and staying in this game, and potentially falling too far behind. Now we've definitely got a game on our hands.
We do. And but just to make it absolutely clear, Lucas is still in a very, very good position.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lucas is in the winning position right now, but it's far from over, and that play from John definitely made that a reality.
Yes, so now if Lucas wants to get the KO here, we will need to attach 3 energies that aren't double turbo. Like the Aqua Return does do 120 damage, so if a double turbo was attached, that would reduce the damage by 20 and make it so that the Raikou would survive. So it needs to be 3 energies of like varying colors on the going onto the Luminion, as we do see the Primal Wisdom being fired off from the Oranguru, and now the other Primal Turbo to attach that last energy needed. Probably just going to attach that Capture Energy.
Would have been great to grab a Capture Energy from the deck and attach it from hand for turn, most likely. Would love to get a basic Pokemon to put down to be your next attacker. I think Lucas will be pretty content to just take the knockout on this Raikou and send up the Manaphy. Yep, exactly what we see. Don't want to send up the Gurus or the Archeops because those Pokemon have a little bit more retreat. They're harder to move out of the active, and Manaphy has kind of served its purpose. John's Raikou is in the discard pile. Probably not going to be seeing a second copy of that.
Yeah, the Manaphy has done its job. It's protected the bench when the bench threat was around, but the bench threat is gone. So no, Manaphy makes the most sense to set up afterwards.
And something to note as well, Lucas has 0 2-prize Pokemon in play. So John has to take a 1-prize knockout. The question now becomes with what? He can attack with the Lugia, obviously. It's got the V-Guard energy on it. But that would open up the door for Lucas to go for the amazing rare Eviltal play.
Yeah, which is not really ideal. But so, yeah, John maybe being forced to set up an Archeops. And we have seen this happen quite a few times over the course of the last 2 days. Sometimes the Speed Wing is just the best attack. But then when you're attacking with it, you're kind of accepting that it's going to go down the next turn, and then you're going to lose one of your Primal Turbo outs. And that's really not great at all.
The nice thing about Archeops being able to hit into this Manaphy is that it can utilize double turbo energy, right? It does reduce your damage by 20, but that's fine because 100 damage is still enough to knock out this Manaphy. Now John will play the Ultra Ball, searching through the deck, is bringing Manaphy to the front. Or excuse me, that is the Luminion instead. Now can Eye Up Boss's Orders does play a copy of that card in addition to all of the Serena that are in his list. So he can, in situations just like this, target down a Pokemon on the bench potentially.
I mean, you got to think if he's doing that, surely you just get boss's orders right, and you bring up one of the Archeopsis and take one of Lucas's energy acceleration options away.
That may be the play, as we do see two powerful colorless energies going down to the active. That boosts the Speed Wing damage all the way up to 160. That is enough to KO an opposing Archeops. That must be the play Jon is going for, trying to capitalize on Lucas having 0 energies in play right now.
Yeah, although it does need to attach one more energy, and that needs to not be a double turbo if he wants this to go off. But there it is, the gift energy, providing the third energy needed and not reducing the damage. So yeah, now boss's orders brings up the Archeops, and this is a very, very solid single price KO actually.
This is a really great play from Jon, and going second in this game, he was going to have to find a unique play like this in order to come back, attacking with his own Archeops to take your opponent's Archeops out of play. Let's see what Lucas has.
So Lucas has a lot, to be fair. It's a very big hand. I do see, I do say Stoutland there, but that's not going to be much use right now. All the basics in play have too much HP to even think about going for extra prizes. So that's
I think Stoutland's only use is going to be if Jon starts Pumpkaboo or Manaphy. I don't think he'll ever want to bench either of those two Pokemon in this match.
No, agreed. So instead, going for the quick ball and just grabbing that Radiant Charizard straight away. We've seen it so many times. It is the definitive late game attacker for this Lugia deck, able to attack off so little energy, which is exactly what you want in the later stages.
Ultra Ball does ditch the 2 copies of Collapsed Stadium. Not going to need those anymore. In fact, grabbing out the Manaphy can use Luminous Sign. Maybe eye up a boss's orders of his own, saying, hey, Jon Eng, anything you can do, I can do better. Why not take Serena instead? Lucas only needing to take 2 prizes here, and then if he does that, he just needs to take one prize KO to win this game.
Yeah, that's absolutely what he's been going for. With the belt already in hand, ready to go, Serena to bring up the Lugia VSTAR. That's all he needs is a 1 Primal Turbo to attach to either the Manaphy or the Charizard, and then another one to retreat or power up the attack cost.
And something that's pretty funny here as well, an interaction I wouldn't have expected to see. Heat Fire Energy actually boosts the Charizard's HP. It boosts it up by 20, so it has 180 hit points, which means Speed Wing on Jon's Archeops doesn't even KO.
Oh, but Speed Wing would need 1 more powerful Calz energy to do it, right?
Yes, 1 more powerful colorless or attack with Lumineon, which is also, to be fair, a very good option.
It is, but still, that's so funny in interaction. Something I thought about before as well, when it comes to Heat Fire, is like, oh, is there any times where the HP buff is relevant? We found a situation now.
It is relevant. Archeops needing 1 more powerful colorless. Lucas taking 2 prizes, going to just 1 remaining. Jon Eng on the ropes here. 3 prizes left. Needs to take 2 knockouts while his opponent only needs 1. What is his path back into this game? Every single one of his Pokemon in play that he can attack with reasonably is a 1 prize Pokemon. He can, of course, attack with Lumineon, but then it shuffles itself back into the deck. And then he has to send up a 1 prize Pokemon or the Crobat, which doesn't have that much HP.
I mean, setting up the Crobat might be okay, purely on the basis of, like we've seen so many times before, right? The Radiant Charizard can't attack again, and so being able to pivot and attack with something else might be a little bit tricky, to say the least. As we do see there, the Aurora Energy going onto the Lumineon from the Primal Turbo.
Looks like it will indeed be the Aqua return on this turn, putting 2 of these energies into play. And Jon, I guess, can send up the Crobat. There's nothing set up from Lucas right now that can deal with it immediately. I believe Lucas is down a decent amount of those powerful colorless energies, so unlikely Archeops would be able to push the envelope to get there.
Yeah, which is, especially, given how so many were, I think, were discarded earlier, right? I mean, there's been committed to various different things, and that's, I think, at this point, it's much, much better to just KO with the Aqua return and take off that 2 prizes from the board as well.
Jon will go for the Marnie. Disrupt Lucas, try to leave him with as few options as possible. Only 4 cards remaining now. Jon drawing 5. Does find his own Radiant Charizard. That could be a way he cleans up the game on the next turn by KOing a potential Lumineon on the bench. Would, of course, need to find Serena, which I think is already in hand. So Jon, I think, has the pieces to close out the game on the next turn. He's got the Serena. He's got the Charizard, which is on the bench. He can KO the Lumineon as long as Lucas does not shuffle it back. The question here, what does Jon send up and what does Lucas have?
I mean, I think Lucas has to send up the Lumineon, right? Because even if you don't take a knockout and win this turn, you have to take that 2 prizer off the board, because otherwise, as you mentioned, Jon can just clean up the game that way. So, yeah, wasting no time. You're going to go for the Primal Turbo, put on the 2 Aurora Energies, attach a 3rd one, discard the Quick Ball, give him the boss's orders, and that's it.
Yes, able to KO that Charizard. I kind of wonder what would happen if Jon hadn't put the Charizard down, because that was the only target for Lumineon to take out this game in our next top 4 match.
So this now means we could absolutely, after all this, still have a Lugia mirror in the finals.
We absolutely could. Grant Manley, the lone player remaining in cut without a Lugia in his deck.
Yes, we do see, oh, Jon going first there, but just DTE pass.
I think there are just a ton of energy in Jon's hand. It looks like a bunch of energy, a lost vacuum, and the Radiant Charizard. This is not the start you hope to see, especially on the game you get to go first.
That is absolutely awful, and I can't even overstate it. Just a double turbo attachment, no means to draw any cards, and another energy, sure, and maybe you can put down a Radiant Charizard to survive a turn, but there's just nothing to work with. Is there even a, wait, no, is there a Serena in hand maybe to draw more cards?
There could be hiding in there. We'll have to see on the next turn. For now, though, it is Lucas' turn, going with the Quick Ball. Does discard the Archeops. Pretty great. Does start the Luminion. Not the best starter, but there are 2 copies in the deck. You got to expect you'll start it at some point, and is able to find the Lugia V off of this first Quick Ball.
And of course, like we've seen, it's so easy to just, power up the Luminion, do an accurate return to free up that bench spot anyway. So yeah, starting with not ideal, but it could be a lot worse, especially because it only has 1 retreat.
So now with 1 Lugia in play, I think Lucas would love to play another one, but does play the Marnie. Jon is breathing a massive sigh of relief in this spot.
Okay, I mean, to be fair, maybe it was the only option for Lucas, right? Maybe there was no other supporters to play it, and Lucas needed to find more stuff of his own. But, if he could see Jon's hand, I think he would have thought twice about playing that Marnie.
Oh, man, and Jon has now got a pretty workable hand here. Evolution Incense can ditch an Archeops. There's an Ultra Ball as well. There's a chance that both of those cards could just get 2 Archeops in the discard pile, and a Quick Ball could close the hand out. Go with a Crobat or the Luminion that's remaining in the hand too.
Yeah, you could Evolution Incense for a Archeops, Ultra Ball discard something else, and the Archeops for a second Archeops, and then Quick Ball the last Archeops away for a Crobat, and just get yourself completely set up.
I think that's got to be what Jon is wanting to go for here. He needs to capitalize. He had a bad start, but his opponent has a 2 prize Pokemon in the active. He can breathe a sigh of relief. His opponent bailed him out with the Marnie. Otherwise, his hand was just not going to be workable. Now he's going to take a moment to check his prize cards, keep his composure. That is without a doubt very important.
Yeah, especially when you are in that sort of sigh of relief situation where you have just been bailed out of what was an atrocious hand. You don't want to give that information to your opponent, right? I mean, I guess maybe the good argument for you're saying that you do, so that maybe you kind of throw off a little bit in that sort of sense. But I think generally speaking, you want to keep your poker face, you want to keep cool, keep calm, and carry on.
Ultra Ball now can ditch the Capture Energy in hand and this Archeops, I do think. Then Quick Ball can discard the Archeops that this would get. Quick Ball can maybe find an alternate attacker, be it that potentially the Raikou here would be not too bad to just have on the bench ready to go. You also could attack with something that's not a Lugia this turn, theoretically. I do think Lugia is probably still the best attacker. Just go in with it, take the knockout on Luminion, but with the double turbo on the active, it does have the free range to retreat into something else if Jon so sees fit.
Yes, but I think you're right. I think Lugia is probably the best attacking choice here, as we do see the Ultra Ball grab the Archeops and Quick Ball, of course, discarding it straight away. I do believe the last card in Jon Eng's hand is actually already the Luminion, so we can use that to grab a supporter and just research for the full 7.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think we'll be seeing any high 5s at this spot. The stakes may be just a little bit too high. The clean, empty hand research, but Yveltal, Amazing Rare, will be grabbed and put directly onto the bench.
Yeah, maybe if the players knew each other a little bit better, but I'm not sure how familiar these 2 players are with each other. So yeah, instead just grabbing the research off the Luminous Sign and yeah, drawing the 7 without having to discard anything at all. You gotta love it.
Getting that Yveltal down is certainly threatening, something that Lucas will have to consider. If he attacks with his own Lugia VSTAR next turn, that Yveltal is just sitting there ready and waiting to take the KO. Jon here definitely needing to find an out to Lugia VSTAR, though. Let's see if he can do it. Not yet. Oh, I don't think he did.
No.
He doesn't have it in hand yet. He can thin down a little bit. There is a Quick Ball in hand in order to fetch the Crobat from the deck, but as of now, he does not have access to a Lugia VSTAR.
Oh, that's a terrible draw for Jon. Yeah, he's going to try and now dig further for Crobat. Now, he does have a second Lugia at least, so he can put that down in the to both thin more cards out of the hand and also to protect himself a little bit in the case this Crobat misses, but it's a really ugly situation.
Yeah, I don't actually think he wants to put this other Lugia down because then his bench would only have 1 space available for the Archeops. So if he puts that down, that would be 1 less chance to put Archeops in play, 1 less shot at accelerating energy. I think it's just going to have to be a Crobat for maybe 2, maybe 3 cards if he can thin down one more. He hasn't attached an energy yet, so maybe if there's an Aurora energy in hand, that could thin one additional card. I know I at least saw, I think it was the V-Guard or the Gift energy, so he's got one more card to burn out. No Aurora, though. It's going to be a Crobat for 2. He needs to find Lugia here.
1, 2, no!
He does find it. The Ultra Ball gets him the Lugia. That was the difference in potentially Jon Eng's tournament right there.
Wow, the last again fighting off the last card of the draw, and now able to discard the Lugia. Don't need to put it out anymore. Get it at the Lugia VSTAR and get your setup going. What a relief!
Jon had to go for it. He knew what he needed. It feels bad to put the Crobat in play and only draw 2 cards, but it's the difference between attacking this turn and not. So he went for it. He got rewarded, and now Primal Turbo is going to start throwing energies in play.
And now Jon is absolutely in the driver's seat of this game because he's going to be able to hit the first 2 prize knockout, and Lucas is always going to be on the back foot unless some of these interesting counter plays and some kind of single prize forced knockouts can happen.
Yeah, that Yveltal on the bench is already so threatening from Jon. If Lucas sends up a Lugia V and turns it into a V-Star, attacks, even if he pushes for a big knockout on this Lugia V-Star and Jon's active, that Yveltal is just sitting and waiting. So Lucas is going to want to find his own Amazing Rare Yveltal, but that is so much more to get.
Yeah, so first 2 prizes of the game goes towards Jon. Now over to Lucas to see how he can reply. As we do see the Evolution Incense is there ready, so we'll be able to find the Lugia V-Star, but wait, what?
Lucas is just going to concede, says he doesn't have a playable hand, nothing to work with. There's no supporters there, no energies to even read the wind, and we're going to Game 3 here in Top 4. Does play the 2 additional copies, does play the full 4.
It's instances like these where you're very glad you play 4 copies, I think it's safe to say.
But that does make it much harder to find the Archeops, which certainly could be a factor. But Lucas says, you know what, no problem, Evolution Incense already in hand.
Yeah, so going to use that to immediately grab one of the Archeops. There's the 2 that's left in the deck, of course, but not before having one last look through to sort of check through the deck and see the prizes and find out that 2 of your Archeops are surprised.
Indeed, we'll check those prize cards, check those energies, see which tech attackers are available. Archeops being brought to the front of the deck off the Evolution Incense, a card that just makes so much sense in this deck, letting you search your deck for an Evolution Pokemon, putting it into your hand. Works great to get your Archeops, to be able to discard them early, and of course his consistency to find your Lugia V-Star.
Yes, so there you go, doing the Archeops count now. So seeing that there's only 2 available, but now because you played the 4, that is fine, and especially you see now this Ultra Ball able to discard the Archeops that you just got, and maybe a Lost Vacuum, not seeing it. It's one of those cards that can be used on the matchup, maybe to Lost Zone a Choice Spell, but it's not the most viable card to keep.
Not super important, and Lucas actually can discard this second Archeops as well because Aurora Energy is already in the hand, so this is very much ideal. Lugia in the active as the starter, Aurora Energy will discard 2 Archeops total this turn. So Lucas is ready to withstand a potential disruption option from Jon. Might not even want to go for the Marnie anymore.
It's that synergy, right? We've seen it so many times already, just when you have that ability to attach an energy, but also use the discard effects to set up your discard pile. It's one of the many, many reasons why Aurora is just such a perfect card for this deck.
Aurora now discarding the Archeops. Nothing else to do for Lucas. A great turn, 1 though, and a pass over to Jon Eng, who does have, it looks like, an Archeops in the hand. See a couple energies, and I also see an Evolution Incense. So not too bad, plenty to work with. Don't love having this many energy in the opening hand. You might have to just go with a Luminion and research them away, which never feels the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty ugly, to be honest, because you're kind of relying on hitting something off your research here. There's no Lugia there. You're getting rid of your Crobat, which is one of your options to find and dig more. You're getting rid of so many energies, like you said. It's really not a nice situation to be in.
Going to be really relying on the expected research here. Could go for a different supporter, but I feel like research is going to just be the best way to go. You need to get at least 1 Lugia into play here as Jon Eng. He would love to get a second one down to be able to withstand a potential boss's orders play from Lucas, but I think he would take at least getting 1.
Yeah, and I think for that reason, you have to go for the research off the Luminion here, right? You need to maximize your chances of being able to hit a basic, because if you don't, you're already, with nowhere to go.
Yeah, no chance that Marnie is good enough. 5 cards is not as many as 7, it turns out. So Jon will, even though he would maybe like to keep that Crobat around in the deck, maybe he'd like to keep some of these energies. I think you just got to dump and go.
Yeah, we can confirm indeed. 5 is indeed less than 7. Never let anyone say that Pokemon didn't teach you maths, everyone.
Yes, yes. So Archeops is the grab for now. I do expect Luminion to come down shortly hereafter with that Luminous Sign ability. Something that is a little awkward for Jon as well, though, is that he has started the Amazing Rare Eviltal, which is a super important card in this matchup to be able to deal with a Lugia V-Star with a V-Guard energy on it.
Yeah, definitely good to prepare for that instance as the research gets dug up from the deck. But now really it's going to come down to this crucial turn. Can Jon find any kind of Lugia or just a way to find it from the research? He's got a lot of venture to do it. It's a sacrifice that's worth going for. If we're probably going to see him maybe debate attaching one of the energies first, could attach a double turbo to the active. It does decide to go for that indeed. But then after that, almost certainly just going to slam down that research. And here we go. 7 cards for Jon to find a basic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Does he hit a Lugia?
Needs a Lugia or a quick ball in order to get one out. Drawing this hand, he's keeping it a little hidden. There's a V-Star, but I don't see a way. Okay, Ultra Ball.
Oh.
Ultra Ball will get him a Lugia, hiding there in the middle of the hand. He does ditch a Lugia and a Marnie, but only one Lugia is definitely the danger zone to be in.
Here's the opening once again. We could see Lucas just have a devastating turn. I don't believe, like we mentioned, there's a choice belt in the hand, but there's no option to bring anything up, is there? There's Lugia V-Star, choice belt, and then, oh yeah, it's a research. So I think Jon is pretty good, doesn't know it yet, but might be pretty safe actually in terms of just keeping this Lugia out.
Yep, could be okay. There are plenty of things Lucas could top deck though that would let him go
true.
after this Lugia. Could get a quick ball to go get Lumineon, could get a Lumineon itself, could also just draw into Boss or Serena potentially in order to bring up this Lugia. And I think
here's top deck. Oh, it's another choice belt.
Another choice belt. And that's actually probably one of the worst top decks because now you have to research it away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can attach it to an Archeops, and I mean, you may as well at that point if it's going to get discarded anyway, but yeah, that's really about as bad as it could possibly get.
Yeah, definitely may as well put it down, especially because Lumineon is in play. This can boost your damage, so you only need one powerful colorless energy, actually, to knock out a Lumineon.
Yeah, could be relevant. You never know. So we'll see if that comes into play later. But now just going for the Primal Turbos, not wanting to draw into the energies, of course, off of the research, so just going to attach those now. Maybe deciding to actually only go for one Primal Turbo and then go for another one?
Maybe wouldn't mind drawing some energies, right? So thinning out just a little bit, but still wants to be able to attach for turn somewhere. I think this makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense as well. As now the research gets played, and one powerful color energy getting drawn, no double turbo. Maybe that could have been a nice one to manually attach, but instead going to attach the powerful colors manually. Now go for the second primal turbo and just get the last energy needed to attack.
Yeah, one more capture energy will do. Lucas does also have a quick ball in hand, so we could see him grab another Pokemon to put down. Actually, attaching the capture to, we saw the only one Primal Turbo before the research because he knew he only needed to attach one for turn. And now by putting the capture energy on the Archeops, this becomes a great pivot for later on.
Yes.
And Lucas recognizing one of Jon's potential plays to get back in this game could be that Raikou to one-hit KO this Lugia V-Star. So if Raikou's coming down, might as well put down Manaphy to prevent that bench damage.
Yeah, once again, very smart heads-up play here from Lucas, as we do see the Oranguru coming down as well, firing off that Primate Wisdom just to get another card from top of the deck and put one of the cards from your hand back on top, and he will be the first KO of the game.
Just one prize. Jon can breathe a sigh of relief that his Lugia was allowed to remain in play, and right away slams down the V-Star, goes for that Summoning Star, V-Star power, 2 Archeops now already into play. Anytime you can cheat a stage 2 Pokemon into play, it feels really good, right? Those Archie's Ace in the Hole, Maxie's Hidden Ball trick decks. Lugia V-Star is like the easy mode of those type of decks.
In fact, if you look at the track record of the Pokemon TCG, right, so often the most winning decks have been the decks that can just cheat out stage 2s, right? It just seems like if you can do it and you get out one that's powerful enough, that's going to put you in good stead to be like one of the best decks of your format.
Jon will grab the Raikou off of Quick Ball. Even though the bench cannot be targeted, it is still his best way to one-hit KO this Lugia in the active. There's a lot that he's going to need off of this, though. He needs an energy to retreat the active Lumineon, and he also needs a Choice Belt. I don't think I see it, but I do see a Speed Lightning energy.
Oh.
We could see that come into play. Attaching it to the Raikou, drawing 2 cards. Is this Jon's play to try to find the Choice Belt? Does have Ultra Ball if he wants to thin a card out of the deck, potentially.
No, it doesn't look like it. Just going for the Speed Lightning. Oh, maybe taking it back. Not sure. Debating it. Nope. Yeah, going to go for it. So
is there
2 cards.
Choice Belt?
No.
No Choice Belt for Jon, and that means he will not get a KO this turn. Now, he has plenty of options as to what to attack with. Try to set up a 2-hit knockout. Aqua Return seems okay, but then what do you promote is the question.
Yeah, because if you promote the Lugia, that's just a sitting duck for a 2-prize knockout, which is not great. If you promote the Archeops, you're losing one of your Primal Turbos. And if you promote the Raikou, you're losing what might be your next best follow-up attacker. So not really any good thing to promote, I would say, unless you can maybe get a V-Guard energy on the Lugia on the bench.
maybe Ultra Ball could fetch something out of the deck that you don't mind sending into the active, be it the potential Manaphy, something like that, or a Pumpkaboo. The risk there is that Lucas does play the Stoutland, so maybe that's something Jon actively would not want to do.
I mean, it's a double factor, right? It's the fact that you're weak to Stoutland, and then also that would play really well into Lucas's prize map because he's already taken one prize, so he doesn't mind knocking out another single prizer.
Sure, absolutely. That is all things that are worth considering. So Jon may just have to send up this Lugia and hope that it doesn't get one-hit KO'd. He has grabbed the V-Guard energy out of the deck and just cross his fingers that Lucas is unable to find Amazing Rare Eviltal.
Yeah, and I think what definitely helps as well is the fact that there's the Lost Vacuum in Jon Eng's hand, so he can use that to get rid of the choice belt and make it so that, yeah, Lucas is forced to use the Yveltal rather than be able to KO the Lugia by just loading up a bunch of powerful colors energy.
He is thinking about playing this Ultra Ball first, though, and that would discard the Lost Vacuum, it looks like. So let's see what he's eyeing up. It will actually be the Lost Vacuum being played, okay? And I like this play. That's a great point from you, Freya. Discard Lost Zone, I should say. That choice belt, make it as difficult as possible, and I think that other choice belt is over there on the Archeops as well, so it may be next to impossible. I think it is literally impossible for this Lugia to reach for the KO.
Yeah, and I think that's very, very important to do for that exact reason. So now, yes, exactly, got to go for the tap of the Yveltal, but interestingly enough, despite the V-Guard energy, we do see the Raikou being brought up.
And I think Jon recognizes that losing his Lugia here would maybe just be a little too detrimental. Send up the Raikou, and if your opponent goes for a boss, then Raikou is still available. If your opponent just has everything they need with the boss plus the Eviltal, that would be really strong, but it is a lot to get, and I actually think that Lucas has it.
I see a boss in hand. There's a quick ball.
And is there enough energy in the deck? As long as there is, yeah, there's Aurora, there's Double Turbo, there's the Heat Fire as well. Lucas can definitely pull off the attack here with this Amazing Rare Eviltal.
That is absolutely sensational. And of course, Raikou not really doing much if the thing in the active is Yveltal, right? Sure, you can KO that, but the Manaphy's in play, so you can't even like do bench damage to KO an Oranguru.
I think that this play could be the game-winning one here for Lucas. This will put him so far ahead. 3 prizes to Jon Eng's remaining 6. The Raikou would remain in play. Jon would have no 2 prizers left. It's going to be an uphill battle for sure. Jon is going to stick around, of course. He's got to play it out. This is the top 4. It's win and move on, lose or go home. But this is tough. And Jon, I think, seeing this Eviltal come to the active, he already knows what's coming. Boss's orders to follow very shortly. Sure enough, bring up that Lugia. Amazing destruction. Get out of here.
An absolutely devastating turn from Lucas' side towards Jon as, able to use the amazing destruction, take 2 prizes, take the biggest threat off the board, and... Oh, was there something kind of... No, okay, all good. The amazing destruction will go through, and Jon left with 1 Raikou and 2 Archeops, and not really much else of anything.
Jon Eng with the hands on his head, thinking through what possible path to victory could there be. It seems like Lucas just has every answer. He had the perfect combination of cards on this past turn, was able to boss his orders and get this Eviltal out. He's got the perfect deck building answer. That Manaphy in play is going to prevent extra prize cards here for the Raikou. Jon will send up this Archeops, maybe attack with it into the Eviltal and hope that that is enough.
Look at that hand as well, like a bunch of 2 powerful colors energies, an Aurora, Boss, and a Research. You don't want to get rid of any of those.
Definitely not great. You don't want to play Boss because then the Amazing Rare Eviltal is just guaranteed to KO anything, and it's not like Boss is going to yield you a KO anyways. I guess you could use Boss and bring up the Lugia and KO it with the Raikou, potentially. Maybe you go for Boss, bring up the Manaphy here. That could be a play for Jon.
Yeah, potentially. You take it off the board, maybe with a Speed Wing, and then you can open up a play with Raikou afterwards. That can certainly be an option.
And there's a chance that Jon's Raikou would be safe on the bench because Lucas is, of course, playing, as many players are, a split of Serena and Boss. And we did see a Boss being played last turn. Serena is great, but it cannot target down that Raikou.
However, unlike a lot of people, Lucas is actually doing a 2-2 split, not a 3-1 split.
Yes, so 1 Boss is still remaining.
And we know for a fact that Lucas has Luminion in hand as well.
Yep. Having access to those things can be really key, and as long as that boss is available, he should be able to go for that play. There's so much to consider in these spots. Jon doesn't know what Lucas has, though, and might recognize this as his 1 play. Yes, sure enough, bring up the Manaphy, take it out with the Speed Wing, and just hope that your Raikou is able to hang on. That is really Jon's hope. This is going to be the most important card for him, is this amazing Raikou to close out this game.
Yeah, that's absolutely what you got to go for. So Speed Wing, KOs the Manaphy, first prize of the game for Jon. Back over to Lucas. He's going to bring up the Yveltal straight away, I think. You know he can KO anything, so why not at this point? As we do see, he
top decks the boss, doesn't even have to use the Luminion, and Jon is going to concede, knows that there is no way he can come back from that, and Lucas Calza from Italy moves on to the finals of the Latin America International Championships.
Huge congratulations to Lucas, just finding the boss off the top. Who needs the Luminion, right? We just like throw it off the top and rip it and KO